If you're a company executive serious about implementing a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion for all, it must start by embracing a variety of perspectives and opinions to ensure that all voices within your organization are amplified and that everyone has a sense of value. Patricia Kennedy is an executive coach committed to helping women reach their fullest potential and productivity at work and maximizing sales value for sales executives as well. She joined me this week to have a discussion about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how company cultures can be magnified and amplified to reach their best. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Absolutely. So, Patricia, if you're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program. And I'm excited to talk to you all about diversity, equity, and inclusion and developing a positive corporate culture. Great to be with you this afternoon. And thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation.
So, Patricia, I know that you work with women to help them sort of advance themselves in the workforce in terms of helping them reach their potential and productivity. So, tell me, what do you think is the key to unlocking women's potential and productivity at work?
That's a great question, I have to say, and I'm going to answer it a little probably differently than you expect. But I think women need to understand that there is institutionalized discrimination taking place anywhere from wages to their inability to get on the corporate career ladder, let alone climate. And I would say that minority women earn even less on the dollar than non-minority women. So, okay, I know that's shocking, but I think that there are statistics all over the place to support what I'm saying. And when women make 83 cents on the dollar, that disparity in earnings follows them throughout their whole lives. And women are productive already. You know, if I think about my mom, she stretched a dollar further than anyone I've ever seen. And Brigham Young even said, you educate a man, you educate a man. You educate a woman, you educate a generation. So here's the key to success to unlocking women's potential and productivity at work is awareness. Women need to, number one is awareness. Women need to learn to recognize the world they're in and don't accept it, right? Do not accept it. Women traditionally have learned to not speak up for themselves and not ask for a promotion. And they think, oh, if I just work hard and put in these hours, I'll get noticed. Well, in the 20 years I've been in corporate America, women are not getting equal pay. So awareness is step one. And then the second one is to learn for what they want, learn to ask for what they want. Women are afraid to step up and speak for themselves. And as managers, sometimes they take advantage of that. Whether you're male or female, managers will take advantage of people who are super overeager. But if you don't ask for the promotion or ask for the salary you want, you need to learn, you'll never get it. So you need to learn to ask. And the most fundamental thing is for women to know their worth. You've got to believe you are worthy of getting that promotion or that salary. And so that's a fundamental thing that has to change. And that's what got me into the work that I do. I help women remember their worth and help them get the career and salary that they desire.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, in terms of corporate leadership and fostering an environment of inclusion, what do you think are the ingredients to being an effective corporate leader?
Yeah, that's an important question. So there was a Gallup poll taken, and 24% of employees are actively disengaged as a result of poor management. And it leads to teams that are less productive, the company's less profitable, and it's likely to cause turnover. And that adds up. So for effective leadership, there are several key things. One is the ability to influence others. Another is to be transparent to an extent. I mean, of course, you can't tell people everything, but transparency is very important. And then encourage risk taking, because when you learn to fail fast, you pivot and then you keep experimenting until you find that thing that does work. And when you encourage that, companies are more profitable. But also innovation. And innovation to me includes diversity. So having more diversity in leadership results in more profitability. There's studies done, McKinsey's done studies, and I think it was the McKinsey study that showed that 25 leadership teams that had gender diversity were making 25% more above average profitability. And for companies that had diverse leaders, their bump was even higher. It was 36% more in profitability. So innovation and diversity in leadership is extremely important, along with values and ethics and all the other things that, people traditionally say is important in leadership.
Absolutely. And Patricia, I don't know if you knew this, but October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. And you talk about diversity and inclusion and being aware. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on the importance of the month and the importance of infusing individuals with disabilities into the workforce.
That's an important thing to note, is that there needs to be more awareness of the abilities of people with perceived disabilities, right? So I think that October is extremely important for raising awareness. Findings show that companies benefit from hiring people with disabilities. They increase their profitability. Turnover is less. I mean, there's all kinds of statistics to back this up. So the fact that companies aren't acting on this more aggressively to try to bring more and open the door for more diverse communities, that, people that work in their organization, it's only going to benefit them. So there are so many different reasons why that's important. It doesn't help just the company. It helps the people, of course, who get those jobs, but it also helps those other people with whom they work to expand and broaden their horizons as well. And we know from the research that the more diverse, the more profitable your company will be. So I don't understand why they're not doing more.
Yeah, absolutely. Patricia, I was born with cerebral palsy. I've lived with it all of my life. And, I live by the saying that inclusion is the gateway to independence, because when you give a person with a disability a job, you open up the floodgates of opportunity. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree with that. That is such a great point. There's so many people that have so much to give. I know that there's organizations that, I think there's one, it's a not-for-profit. I'm not sure if it's a for-profit, honestly, but what they do is they look for neurodiverse people. neurotypical people have a certain way of thinking, right? But neurodiversity helps organizations find solutions to things that help them to be more effective. So this company was finding people that have autism because they don't have the social skills that others have to get jobs. But what they do have, a lot of them are extremely, extremely smart. A lot of people that have autism are extremely intelligent, but can't get jobs. And so this organization helps to place them. And like, especially in technology, where the human interaction is not as important as solving these problems, like, understanding big data and all these different sorts of things, that they're finding that these neurodiverse people can really help to, be, once they're implemented, once people get into the roles, they're doing phenomenally. So companies miss out when they don't have a diverse workforce.
Absolutely. And I'm also curious to get your thoughts. When we talk about diversity, I always think that collaboration of perspective is an important thing to foster an inclusive and welcoming work culture. So I'm wondering your thoughts on the importance of the idea of collaboration of different perspectives.
I think that collaboration is the key to everything. When people can respect each other's opinions and not get tied up in, oh, well, that disagrees with my opinion. And the more welcoming we are to diverse perspectives, the more we learn and the more we grow as people and communities, and of course, companies. So, a diverse, from gender diversity, ethnic, age, ability, everything. When you have a diverse group of people together, you get better outcomes. There's the company OXO. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. They make the can openers. They're padded, they're bigger, they're better made, they're more expensive. But the founder of that company, he wanted to make a can opener his wife could use because she had arthritis and she had difficulty. So when they made that can opener, they thought, okay, well, that's it. It's just, this can opener. Well, the sales took off and they started making other utensils that were equally as helpful. The point being, when you think outside of the box and you serve a more diverse customer base, when you think about the needs of customers, and then you also as an organization bring in people who think diverse, more diversely and have new and fresh ideas, the better the company is going to be. And I think that people with disabilities are underserved and under-recognized. And I would love to change that. And I think that's also the importance of this month, to be able to do that. But it's in my hopes that companies start to see the benefits and really make a difference in their work environments. And in terms of inclusivity, it's important that people come together. And, it's one thing to be asked to a dance. It's another, you go to the dance, great. But when you're at the dance, to be invited to actually dance with somebody, that's inclusivity. And we miss the mark a lot of times when we don't take that extra step to make people feel welcome. And I think that's an important thing that needs to be recognized as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Patricia, I'm also fascinated to ask you about the role of social media in corporate culture, the role it plays in terms of being good, some things that maybe need to be tweaked in terms of the uses of social media or promote a positive corporate culture. So I'm curious to ask you about the role of social media in relation to corporate culture.
Yeah, I think that is a great question as well, because social media is a double-edged sword, and it can harm and it can help. But I think that it's important to have, because it opens up the dialogue. It opens up the dialogue with your employees internally, with the company, but it also opens up the dialogue for your customers. And when you are able to take effective criticism in stride, then it makes you better, right? So a company has to be willing to open up the voices and listen to the voices of people who are saying things on social media to make them a better organization. And in terms of effective company culture, I think there's three main things that I think are so important. And the first one is authenticity. Bringing the ability to bring your true self to work and being super clear on how you're going to show up, that is so important in defining a culture. But then when you think about social media and how that culture of social media and how we should think about addressing it or incorporating it or whatever it is that you're going to do with social media, it's important that the company stays authentic too and true to self. So if they've made a mistake, it's important for them to apologize on social media, and not just crocodile tears, but sincerity. So authenticity is extremely important. And then the other thing I would say is acceptance. Appreciating others' points of views, regardless of their appearance, their ethnic origin, even their language differences. The diversity in culture is extremely important as well, because again, it gives you different perspectives. And companies, when they open up their social media and are more authentic and accepting, they really do bridge the gap and make themselves more approachable and all the other things that they want to do. It's like being real. Just be authentic, be yourself. And then the last one is, of course, is inclusion. And that's not to just, like I said before, it's being asked to dance, at the dance. It's very important that companies enable and allow and seek different points of view in terms of social media, and that they're inclusionary when they do.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering your thoughts on your personal definition of personal and professional fulfillment. How do you think you'll define those two things?
So that's great. A great question. Personal fulfillment, I would say, is what is your life's perfect purpose? And I would also even take a step forward on that and say, it's difficult to separate your professional fulfillment from your personal fulfillment. I don't think we should. I think that if you determine what your life purpose is, why you're here on earth to do what you're going to do, then go find that career, because that is going to be the most rewarding and fulfilling thing that you do. And, when we were young, like all those dreams that we had as children, like for example, a little boy might have wanted to be Superman, right? But his parents and society, they say, oh, you can't be Superman. You've got to get a real job. And maybe all this little boy wanted to do was help save cats from trees and help, people across the street, things like that. When you break it down, that child found joy simply from helping other people. And that was his life's purpose. But then, we pound that out of people, right? From what we say, go to college, get a job, just get any job and you'll move up the ranks. And that's not fulfilling to a lot of people. So it's hard for people to really find fulfillment in their career if they haven't found their life's purpose first. And I would say, if you haven't found or thought about your life's purpose, think of the things that bring you joy. Those are the things that, connect to your life purpose. So finding your job fulfilling every day when you found your life purpose is easy. You can be an accountant, a general manager, a factory floor worker, and still help people every single day.
Yeah, I always say if you find your passion in life and you turn it into a job, you don't work a day in your life, right?
That is true.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
And Patricia, I'm curious if we can circle back to company culture in the sense of, as a corporate leader, uh, when you want to lead your employees in terms of offering them training, because I've been through corporate training that's been effective, and I've been through things that I thought was a waste of a half of a workday. So I'm wondering your thoughts on how you bridge the gap as a corporate leader in terms of giving employees training they can actively and effectively use.
That's a great point. And the reason is that people consume information in different ways, and everybody has different needs in terms of how they want to access learning. And with the way that the world is today, people can, do stuff on their phone and take, my daughter is learning a different language on her phone. Like, whoever would have thought of that, right? So everyone has a different way to learn. Some people are better in a classroom where they can, somebody keeps them on point, and they ask them questions if they see them nodding off and not being interested, or if they look confused. So everyone, again, has a different need for training. But I would say customize the content, and then customize the way you're delivering the training content. So, for example, if you want everyone in your organization to be more data literate, and you create a vision of success of what that would look like, not everybody's going to need the same information. If you're in finance, you're going to need to know a lot of data. You're going to need to know a lot about it. But if you're in, if you're a secretary who supports a general manager, you don't need as much. So you create a vision of what success would look like, and then you figure out different roles of who would need to learn what. Your overall vision is you want everyone to be data literate, but that's going to be different for every person. The mistake companies make is to try to make the same content available for everyone. And again, they're not even being diverse in the way that they're delivering training. So it's important, if they really want impactful change, when they do conduct training, to think of the people. You always put your customer first, whether it's the training person who needs to be trained, or whether you're selling something to a customer. You always have to think of what do they need to know, and then work backwards from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know one of the major pieces of your portfolio is also helping people achieve sales success. So I'm wondering if you can define what sales success means for you.
Well, when I was younger, sales success meant something completely different to me than it does now. When I was younger, I was, sell, 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 doesn't matter, just sell. And now I have, and also the market and the world has matured a little more. And basically, when you think about putting your customer in the center of your universe, and you do everything that you do to help that customer, sometimes what you're selling isn't what they need. And so instead of jamming something they don't need down their throats, the savvy salespeople are now looking at, well, how can I serve them in the long run, because our product does not meet their needs. So help them find the product that does meet their needs, and they will remember you forever, right? Because you went out of your way to help them. And I think that is sales success to me.
Absolutely. And I have a few more questions for you. The first one has to do with the importance of building relationships and the correlation that has to a successful company culture. What do you think is the importance of building sound relationships within the company?
Again, you've got some very insightful questions. This is a really important question for anybody. So if you're thinking about just walking into a company and you don't know anybody, you're starting on day one, and you expect people to, come to you and they give you training. I'm not saying everyone just has this expectation, but you don't really think about reaching out to meet other folks. So one of the key tenets that I always say to people is when you start a new job, create a plan, not just for success for yourself, but on other people that you need to meet in the company. And think about how helping them and then them helping you in developing that long-term relationship is going to help you both over the long haul of your careers at that company. So relationships are extremely important. And it's not just to grease the wheels, it's for genuine connection with other people. And you might find that when you do make these connections, you find a mentor or you find someone to mentor, but you also develop lifelong friendships. So it's very, very important to make sure to develop these relationships when you are in the corporate environment and in life in general, of course.
Absolutely, 100%. And during my research on you, I found out that you have two kids. So I'm curious to know, for you, in terms of leaving a legacy for your kids, what do you think that looks like for you specifically?
Well, I would love to leave a world that's better than the one I came in. And I would love for my children to learn from that. So I hope that all the things that I'm doing are making that change in this world, because if you want to see, you've got to be the change, right? So I hope that my children do see that, and I hope that they take that into their own lives and then be the change in the world that they want to see, but take things to levels that I never dreamed possible. So that would be the legacy I would like to leave.
Yeah, absolutely. One where your kids can follow a successful path, huh?
Yes, yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Absolutely. And tell me, Patricia, finally, if people want to get connected with you, what's the best way they can accomplish that goal?
That's great. I appreciate that. They can go to kennedyeffect.com and they can reach me at pkennedy@kennedyeffect.com.
Fantastic, Patricia. I really enjoyed our discussion about developing a positive company culture, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Your time, energy, and efforts on my behalf are most appreciated, and I want to thank you for being here this afternoon.
Thank you too, Kevin. This has been a great opportunity for me and I appreciate the time.